Well, hello everyone. When I was younger, because I'm still kind of young, I read this book from George Orwell. You probably know it, 1984, and I was really that's my fucking cat. He sucks. And well, I was really fascinated by the proposition. Oh fuck you, cat. I imagined how it would be to live in such a world that was proposed in the book. And he he is my home tyranny, and I imagined the desperation of the protagonist, Winston. And well, how would it be to live in such a world? Everybody would be bound by this moral and economic ideology, and everybody would be bound to reproduce this inconsistent establishment bullshit. And the vast majority of people wouldn't even conceive of dissenting. And the higher you would be in the hierarchy, the closer you would be to the party, the less incentive you would have to talk about it. Maybe if you would be a naturally more moral person, you would have some kind of urge to talk about it, to speak. This is madness. We have to stop this. We have to cease. But well, you shouldn't, because you would tread on some very dangerous feet. And I hold the belief that almost everyone that really thinks about the truth has some kind of understanding of it, not the particularities, but the truth in general. What is more probable, what is more realistic, and what is less realistic, what is more consistent and what is less. And oh, somehow you suck. And my second cat just walks on my back. This is no place to be creative. Too many cats here. Well, where was I? And I think that everybody has the chance to have some vague image of the truth, because it is kind of self-evident if you think about it, if you really think about it. But the more you think into it, the more probable it gets that you encounter something terrible. Something terrible behind a veil of the ideology you were fed by, and you didn't even know it was ideology, because you thought it was something not to be questioned, a truth. And there is one type of person that seizes, and this person doubles down on the bullshit. And there is another type that resists, but mostly it is internal. And well, I always imagined tyranny as a world of axioms, as a world of unquestionable pillars of belief, of morality. Some things are not to be questioned, but those concern mostly mathematics, and even they can be understood deeper if we dwell deeper inside of them. But in a world of axioms, even moral truths are not to be questioned. They come from here to here, and they are very limited, and our view of reality in such a world is very limited. It is not a consistent net of facts and the correlations and causations between them. It is just an inconsistent collection of narratives, of stories that we tend to reproduce, and that we suppose that somehow have a correlation in between them, but we don't understand it. Well, it's time to question myself, isn't it? How shallow or how deep is my truth? How shallow, how isolated is my perception. How eager am I to believe, even in the most nefarious of falsehoods, or even in the fakest of emotions, just to evade this terror of reality, the spectre that hangs about everything, and just is kind of visible beneath the fabric of our lives. And when I was little, I imagined this as fiction. And then, in my later years, which aren't as late, I came to realize that it is not really fiction. It is not as terrible and dystopic, apparently dystopic, as 1984, but it is a kind of totality nevertheless. We don't live in houses and urban landscapes that fall apart in the Western world. In the Western world, mind you. But everything is meant to fall apart very early. Products are made to die very young, and people are kind of made to die very young as well, internally or externally. And this is a world without true conviction, because I don't think that true conviction is something based on faith or dogma, whether it be moral dogma or religious dogma. That's just bullshit. It's not true conviction. True conviction is something based on critical thinking that we came to realize rationally and that we understand. It is just based on this pseudo-vague religion, pseudo-vague dogma of a broad image of democracy, of a broad image of liberty, which is not really true when you submit it to the scrutiny of critical thinking. And there can be really no enthusiasm for such falsehoods, because as soon as they are understood, you can't feel any true enthusiasm for them. And you can feel true enthusiasm for them only if you don't understand it. So there is not even true enthusiasm in this. And there are no authentic feelings in the public spectrum, only somehow in dissent. And a world, this is a world that has been conquered by criminals from the West, from the East. And it is a world that is dying, and it threatens to swallow the whole of humanity with it, along with thousands of years of culture, of scientific and social progress, and of course human labor. And it is a world that, if not changed as soon as possible, this is my fucking cat again, it will be in retrospective just a short episode on some insignificant piece of rock floating amidst emptiness, amidst empty space, without life and without intelligence. The neo-Marxist Slavoj Žižek, who, despite being red, is surprisingly often accurate in his observations, says that everyone imagines this apparent totality that just steps on human rights right and left, and explicitly suppresses human freedoms. But this is only a preconception. No one thinks about the possibility of a liberal totality. In such a totality, liberties would be expanded indefinitely when you look at it from a superficial viewpoint. And people have a lot of liberties, but the spectrum of real freedoms, the spectrum of real ways in which you can influence your broader environment and your life itself becomes narrower by the year. And in the public life, we see only celebrities, politicians, commentators, activists, these very, very apparent millionaires and billionaires that we somehow associate with power dynamics, with power struggle. But the real rulers are not those we usually see. They are the people that have enough of colorful, fantasy-enforced pieces of paper or numbers on their accounts to kind of command the whole economic industrial complex and thereby be able to not micromanage but control everything. Society doesn't move forward, it ceased to progress, it stagnates because of the short term, because of its focus on the short term, and because of the shallowness of its self-knowledge. This society is submitted to moral progressivism, but it doesn't understand how regressive and barbaric it becomes by the year. When I saw the reality behind the fabric, the reality behind the whale, I just had to step down from my previous false liberal ideas. And if there is a message in what I just said, it is that the expansion of liberties is not always progress. This is my fucking cat again. He really sucks. He really does. He does this all the fucking time. Even when I try to sleep. I love him, but sometimes I would just throw the fucker out of the balcony. Okay, that's not the point of what I said, of course. And, come on. And sometimes the expansion of liberties doesn't bring freedom as well. So we have to hold liberties, and what we name a liberty under scrutiny. And we have to have critical liberal ideas. Not every expansion of liberties makes you freer, makes society more freedom-based. And indeed, not every expansion of liberties is really liberal. Well, thank you very much for your attention and have a nice day.